I'm Max Crosby, and you're listening to episode 85 of the Who's on Top podcast.
Welcome back to episode 85 of the Who's on Top podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Fox. We have a jam-packed episode recapping one of the wildest weekends in NFL playoff history. But before we get into that, let's introduce our hosts. First, the Joe Buck of women's college basketball, Ellis Gordon.
Thank you very much. I got a game this Sunday, Rutgers women's basketball versus Michigan State. So
we will promote that.
Yeah, we will.
I saw you did a little sports radio. You getting back into it?
What do you mean? Oh, that wasn't the calling. That was just that's like our version of the podcast. Like we have our own podcast for like all.
Okay. Next, our very own astronaut in the ocean, coming to us from Johns Hopkins kitchen, Jeremy Giles.
Yes, of course, at your service.
And finally, filling in for Jacob Kasdan, who has Frisbee practice, our favorite Pro Bowl alternate, Max Crosby.
Hell yeah, sixth man of Who's on Top.
Well, really fifth man. But I see what you did there.
Let's move
Back on topic.
We're going to kind of roll through predictions except for the NFL. But first, we got Hall of Shame, Hall of Fame. There was a lot of Hall of Shames, a lot of Hall of Fames. So I think this is just very deserving. Someone else can do Hall of Fame if you want, but I want to do Hall of Shame because I know most about it. Hall of Shame is the most deserving Hall of Shame so far. Almost unfair that he gets on the list with players like Joey Sly, who just did me dirty on field goals. But listen, Hall of Shame's a vast list. He's made worse. Hall of Shame goes to FIFA president Gianni Infantino, who is an old Italian man, so you could have already assumed he was racist, but never would have thought he would have just said it out loud. So FIFA has been wanting to, at 2 years of World Cup, which by the way is an awful idea. If anyone tells you that, it's an awful idea. For monetary purposes, duh. But Gianni Infantino decided to talk to the crowd during his proposal, and this is what he said. He said, Infantino suggested that if FIFA moved to having a World Cup every 2 years instead of 4, it would provide so much hope to African refugees they would stop trying to illegally enter Europe and die in boats that capsize or not come at all. So, just so many issues with FIFA. But I can't believe, everyone knew he was racist. Everyone knows, I was talking to Jeremy about this, but everyone knows Roger Goodell is racist. But Roger Goodell is smart enough not to say it out loud. I just don't understand why he would ever say such an offensive thing out loud. It's just
I don't even know if this is racist. It's just so random. What the fuck? I want to read another portion of these quotes.
Oh, it's definitely.
I will start off with.
But just why?
I don't know.
What do migrants have to do with the World Cup?
Racist.
It's just why bring up the migrants, man? Maybe talk about the revenue, but none of these migrants are watching their countries in the World Cup.
Just say you want to make more money. It's just that obvious. Don't bring up the African migrants in it randomly. What the fuck? Whatever. He goes into the Hall of Shame.
This is something Goodell would do if he got called in to talk at a BLM protest. He'd be like
John X-Files shit. This is some John Gruden X-Files shit. All right, but now on to a brighter note because we don't want to end in racism. Hall of Fame. I want to take the kicker, but Jeremy, want to take the receiver? We talked about him a bit already.
Oh no, I'm totally down to take the receiver. So our receiver, who we've talked about, is Gabriel Davis with the game of his life. Over 200 yards, 4 touchdowns. The first person ever to get 4 touchdowns in a playoff game. That's something Jerry Rice didn't do. And this random fucking dude that used to be on the Falcons, was a decent player for the Bills, had literally the game of his life. Man, as I was saying on We Had a Debate with Tyreek Hill, I really think he was the best player in this game. Just to come from nothing to literally breaking every single person's ankles and getting I don't know. I feel like he got lost in the story with Allen, but let me look this up right now. I'm going to look up Josh Allen passing yards against the Chiefs.
Not enough to win.
Yes, that's true. Like Josh Allen got so many credits, so much credit for the game. He threw 329 yards, over 200 of those, about 2/3 of those were to Gabriel Davis.
Yeah.
Like give some man some respect. He's going in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. And my next Hall of Famer is, as Pat McAfee would say, for the brand, a kicker with balls of steel. After the turnover, Joe Burrow finds Jamar Chase on a little out route. I don't know what do you call that route? It's corner. It's more of a corner strike route. But finds Jamar Chase, clocks the ball, gives it to Evan McPherson for the game-winning field goal, who, by the way, standout kicker in Florida, standout kicker in the NFL so far. I unfortunately dropped in my fantasy team, but still standout kicker. Already hit a game winner this year. But this is why he's in the Hall of Fame, because other kickers hit game winners this week too. Robbie Gould, who, by the way, should be in the Hall of Fame, but he's not yet because he's never missed a field goal kick in the playoffs. But he's in the Hall of Fame because Joe Burrow goes to him, and Evan McPherson goes up to Joe Burrow before the kick and says, "Looks like we're going to the AFC Championship game." Not a doubt in his mind. It doesn't even occur to him he's going to miss, and it's beautiful because it's like Kobe Bryant's 2-year anniversary. That is the ultimate Mamba mentality. He kicks it through the uprights, straight in. The Bengals are now in the AFC Championship game in an uphill battle against the Chiefs, but you never know. So Evan McPherson, welcome to the Watt Podcast Hall of Fame. Quick stat track. These are two receivers.
Okay.
One plays now, one doesn't. One played. And I wasn't even going to plan a stat track, but I was in class bored, to be honest. And I was looking up Chad Ochocinco highlights. It's not Chad Ochocinco, by the way. And then it led me down this really interesting path. Let's start with the receiver that plays now. This regular season, 81 catches on 128 targets, 1,455 yards, 13 touchdowns, 2 fumbles, and a couple of drops. There's no stat, but there was a couple of drops. 13 touchdowns. This receiver in his, let me just count. This was his 4th year in the NFL.
The modern one.
This is a season. This receiver played 4th season in the NFL. His whatever. This is not important. His 4th season in the NFL. 15 games, 77 catches, 1,120 yards, only averaging 14 yards a catch, 12 touchdowns, a touchdown less, a catch percentage of 56%. I'll try to find the catch percentage.
Holy shit, that sucks.
Okay. Here we go.
I
have a theory for you. Wait, before, I have this weird feeling, knowing you and how your brain works and what you're interested in, that we're talking about Jamar Chase and Randy Moss.
Oh, close.
Oh,
Great.
Jamar Chase and T.O.
Wait, Jamar Chase is right? I thought Jamar Chase had 1,500 yards. That's why I wasn't thinking him.
Almost. Not quite.
Okay.
You probably can include in playoffs. Are you thinking of T.O.?
I'm going to say Calvin.
Yep, Calvin Johnson, Jamar Chase. It is wild. The fact, I know it's just wild that Jamar Chase can do that. And this was Calvin Johnson's. I wanted to say this, but I didn't want to give it away.
It's a different game these days, though. It's a different game.
Yeah.
They're throwing it so much more. Dudes are throwing the ball down 50 yards on the field multiple times a game.
But yeah, I just find that absolutely insane. I know
that's crazy.
But Jamar Chase, just the point is Jamar Chase is amazing. But let us wrap up this podcast. Thank you for listening. Another long one, but we've got good NFL content to give you, so we're going to give it to you. Thank you for listening as always. Thank you for all the 5-star ratings that are pouring in. We love to see it. A good bump this week in listens. We love to see it. So we thank our fans always so much, especially the ones from France and San Jose, California. Special shout out to you guys. You don't know who you are, but special shout out to you guys.
You're a king, whoever you are.
Kings, yeah. Follow our Twitter at Watt.podcast. It's capital WOT.PODCAST. I post usually game reactions. I always post our predictions there to be held accountable, and so you could track us mid prediction seasons, I'll say, or mini season. Or Instagram at also WOT.PODCAST, capital W Watt.podcast. There we have polls, highlights, and you always know when the new episode is out. Photoshops. And the link you can use their Instagram and listen using the link in our bio, which 10% of our listeners do. So you should do that too, because it's very convenient. YouTube, we're finally back up on YouTube after a 3-month hiatus. We just couldn't get it running for a bit, but now we're back. There we post our best clips of the podcast. We don't post the full podcast, but if you want to see our beautiful faces and just want to see the highlights of the podcast, you go to YouTube, and that is fun there. That's also Who's on Top, WHO_SONTOP spaces. Like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff with YouTube. Now, you want to listen to our podcast, you can do that anywhere but Amazon Podcast. Jeff Bezos, we don't like you. But anywhere else, Who's on Top, please give us a 5-star rating or whatever you see fit. Subscribe, turn on notifications so you know when the new podcast is out. We're aiming for Saturday at 12 p.m. for every podcast to come out. If not, it's 12 p.m. If not, it's 12. It'll be around that time. That's our new aim. That's how YouTube will come out probably Saturday night for the highlights. But yeah, so go do that. We always appreciate that. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. And yeah, I think those are all the announcements. Thank you, Max, for coming on as another alternative. Always a pleasure. Looking forward to it.
Indeed. Pleasure for me too.
Amen.
Yes.
As always, stay safe, stay healthy. COVID's receding finally a little bit. And
Vaccine's out. Vaccine's out.
Yeah, let's throw it back. The vaccine is out. It's been out. But get it if you're still hesitant.
True.
Yeah.
We got to be getting our 4th doses soon.
And
Wild.
as always, hope you enjoyed that podcast and goodbye.
Goodbye.